Hello, people of God. My name is Tessie Aduari, just in case you're new here, and today we're basically talking about what the rules are on kissing when it comes to kissing, right? Whether you should ask, whether you shouldn't, stuff like that. We're going to break it down to Alright, so a lot of people responded to the question I put out on Instagram, and the question was, should you ask a person before you kiss them? And would you want a person to ask you before they kiss you, right? And I got a lot of responses, which was really, really great. Now, there are generally three groups of responses. Some people said yes, some said no, and then some said it depends, right? It is mentioning that there were a lot of people that gave the exact same answer. Like somebody was like, yes, I like it because this. Like if 4 people gave that exact same response, I'll just compile it into one. So there were actually a lot of responses, but this is like just the condensed version. Same thing for the no's, and it depends. Okay, all right, so I'm going to read out the responses I got, and then we'll have our discussion and talk about them afterwards. All right, so for the yes people, somebody said yes, always, unless we're in an agreed, intimate, and romantic relationship. Somebody else said yes, it shows respect and is romantic. Somebody else said yes, in capital letter. But the only time you shouldn't ask is if we're in a relationship and it's cute. If not, I go tear your mouth. And that's word for word. And you guys might actually know the person that gave this response. Her name is Deborah. She has a YouTube channel as well. Man, I gotta carry fire. Somebody else said, yes, please ask, because it helps to minimize awkwardness and consistency is key. Now, another one said, honestly, if it's the first time with someone new, I think you should ask. But in a regular relationship, no. Another one said, yes, ask, but just gauge the mood before asking the questions. Now, somebody else who's actually married said, yes, ask. In marriage, it's not always verbal, but consent has to happen every time. And then someone else said, if y'all haven't been vibing that way, please ask. But for a first kiss, please always ask a bit. All right, so for the no people, somebody said no. Why? Somebody else said, no, I want it to be spontaneous. Another person said, no, don't ask. It will spoil the mood. Somebody else said, and I quote, on top of what now? Haven't you heard of spontaneous love? Sorry, star. Don't be angry. Another person said, no, don't ask because, it can ruin the moment. But at the same time, read the room. And then another person said, if the person is my type, there's no need to ask. He's on. But if the person is not my type, please ask. And then a bunch of other people just said no, stuff like that. Again, condensed responses. Now for the it depends people, this is where we have like the nuances and caveats and stuff like that. So somebody said, listen, it depends on the vibe, If you can tell they're feeling you, go for it. If not, Another person said, it really depends on the vibe. You really just have to read the room and their body language. Someone else said, it depends on if I like the person, If you're going to be bold, might as well be bold with your full chest. Man, I love Nigerians. Anyway, somebody else said, it depends on the moment and the person. If I'm feeling you and want you to kiss me, I will make it abundantly clear that I'm feeling the boy, So, okay, I could say that. I understand. So basically in that case, they wouldn't want you to ask if they like you, and they will make it abundantly clear that they like you, right? Another person said, it depends on the person and the mood. We had a bunch of other, it depends on the person, Another person said, it depends on the relationship and the dynamic. If this is a relationship and y'all already have this dynamic set up, maybe this is how you greet each other when you see each other and all that kind of stuff, that's cool. But if it's a first kiss, please ask. Don't put your lips where they don't belong. And then a bunch of other people were like that. Yeah, if it's a first kiss, just ask. Depends on where we are in our talking and all that kind of stuff. All right, so those are the responses we got. A bunch of yeses, a bunch of no's, and a bunch of it depends. The one big thing that this pointed out is that a lot of people are fuzzy on the rules, fuzzy on what to do in this kind of situation, when it's okay, when it's not okay. And another thing it was indicative of is that some people are very sure how they feel about this, right? So for some people, it was a hard yes. Like I had a lot of people typing capital letters. Like some people were like yes, some people were like no, right? So it then means that, if you're with somebody who firmly wants you to ask and you don't, that might be a side issue on their part. If you're with somebody who doesn't want you asking and you do, it might be so it's a tricky thing to navigate. Now, I can weigh in and give my own opinion. I agree with the yes people. Personally, I would want a person to ask before putting their lips on my face. If you freak, your mouth and put it on my face without asking, I will bite you. And you can ask about me. I'm just kidding. I don't go around biting people. Alright, so I was talking to a friend of mine who was like, you know, Tessie, this is all too much, okay? Like, some people say yes, some people say no, like, some people say it depends. Like, how are we supposed to navigate? You know, what if I getting vibes from her, or maybe I think I'm getting vibes and I'm not, and then maybe if I ask, it ruins the moment, and if I don't ask, she feels disrespected. It's all just too much. It's too fuzzy. Like, it's not as clear, you know, as I wish it were. And I'll be honest, I get that. Sometimes you can tell when somebody's looking at you as if they want to swallow you, right? But sometimes it's also hard to tell. That's one thing that's confusing for some people. I don't really have the answers to that one, because personally, I know that I don't always know if a guy is into me. There have been times when my friends had to be like, yeah, Tessie, like, this boy is not just hanging around here because he likes the activities we do. We don't do much, right? He wants to touch your bum. That's why he's here. But basically, my 2 cents is just, if you're not sure, please ask. I was talking to a friend who was like, it's easy to say just ask, but it's an awkward question to ask, and you know, it might take some doing to actually find the right way to be able to ask. A lot of people are worried that if you ask, it might ruin the moment, and that is a valid worry, 1000%. Alright, now Tessie, understood. If we're not sure, we should ask. Cool. How do we ask? This is a question a lot of us have. Nobody really tells you how to do this kind of stuff, which is why you have me. I'm a woman of the people. I got you. I'll give you an example, right? You have to find a way to ask with finesse, with, you know, with charm, basically. Much like asking a person out on a date. You would be strategic. You would think about it, you know? If you're on the couch, sitting down, there's music, candle lights, all of that. You know, then your sister is playing in the background, and it seems like it's getting there, but you want to ask. You don't just want to jump on somebody's doorstep without asking her, right? Understandable. I would say use your body language as well as your words when you're trying to ask. Don't be sitting 6 feet away and be like, can I kiss you? And then, I don't know, she or he says yes, and then you start scooching closer. No. Bring yourself closer. Bring yourself closer a little bit, you know? And you're like, okay, but what do I say? Do I just say, can I kiss you? Not necessarily. Try something like this.
You know, you are so beautiful, and all I can think of is how much I want to kiss you right now. But I want to make sure you're comfortable before I do that. Is that okay?
And then you go in for the kiss, and you change your life. Now, I feel like you can actually also just be like,
can I kiss you?
But again, it depends on the way in which you do it. There's this episode of Phrases that I watched where Suki and, what was her name? Suki and this girl, like, they were playing cards like late into the night and everything, and then the mood was set. They were saying to each other's highs, you know. He starts leaning in, she leans in back, you know, and right before they kiss, he's like,
can I?
And she's like, yeah, and she nods and smiles and they kiss, and it's great. So for the yes people, for the people who say that they do want you to ask and you're wondering, oh, how do I then ask? It's weird, I don't know what that looks like. That could be an example of what that looks like. Let me know in the comments, like, how would you want somebody to ask if you want them to ask? I don't know why this is one topic where the rules are so fuzzy and how we should operate. I feel like there should be very clear rules as to how to treat each other's bodies, you know, just in society in general. Like, I mean, if you think about it, like, our bodies are the most personal things we have. If somebody goes through your phone, you may feel, you know, violated. If you touch something that's yours, like, you couldn't ask before going through it and stuff like that. Our bodies are even more fundamental to who we are. I feel like general rule should be just ask in the right ways. But then again, I know people are not the same. Not everybody is like me. Not everybody wants the same things, which is 100% okay. I will say this though, I easily understand why, you know, a lot of women really like, you know, ask before you kiss them. I would assume, at least for me, speaking just from my perspective, like, you know, is because people say the lines are so blurry or get so blurry when it comes to sexual assault. And that's a very large conversation, and I won't, you know, I'm not delving into that, but the thing I'm trying to get at is that women experience romantic environments and romantic spaces in a very different way than men do, right? So girls grow up from age 5 being taught, oh, protect yourself from rapists, you know, do this, do that so you won't be raped. Unfortunately, it's kind of the reality of how it is now. Now, it's not something that we're always thinking about. It's not like we're always quaking in our boots and scared about it, but it looms. Like, it's not something that is not somewhere at the back of women's minds, you know, if they're alone with a guy they're not too familiar with, stuff like that, right? So I think when you ask before a first kiss, it helps to abate some of that worry just a little bit, you know, like it gives that reassurance that you won't touch them without their permission, you won't invade their space if they're not fully for it. And I'm just trying to explain why some people may want you to ask, in case some people don't understand the yes people, right? But people of God, that's all I have for you today. My goal in making this video was to try and bring all these different perspectives, you know, that people gave, and try and bring some clarity to this whole situation. So I hope that this was helpful. Anyway, please let's continue the conversation in the comments. Would you want somebody to ask you before kissing you or not? Why not? And if somebody asked you in the way that I asked you just like a couple of minutes ago, would that ruin the moment? Or would that be like, oh, okay, like, yeah, like, oh, come on, kiss me, baby boy. Let's all educate each other and learn from each other, you know, because again, I'm not the authority on this type of thing. Oh, like, I am literally just our class prefect, you know. I did some research, I presented the research just to let you know what people's different views are, some of the reasons why they may feel the way that they do. With it what you will, and let the Lord be with you as you go ahead in your romance. If you're new here, make sure you like and subscribe. But if you're not new here, if this is not the first time we're seeing each other, if we've jabbed each other before now and you've still not subscribed, let's not play with each other's feelings, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.